on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. I just posted a live set of our buddies in funeral attire. I will also be posting interviews with both with Sales Ahead and funeral attire, respectively, Wednesday, tomorrow, and Friday. Obviously, this will be coming out on Wednesday, so you might see it around the same time. But definitely check out those. Both really great kind of local unsigned bands, and I think you'll definitely dig them a lot. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure that like button. A lot of great things are coming down the pipeline in the next couple months. So definitely keep it locked and loaded here. It would be greatly appreciated. So tonight, we're going to be talking about Pvris's new record, All We Know of Heaven, All We Need of Hell.
So wrong, but I'm so far gone. Don't need you to tell me I'm so cynical. Could be so over.
So I've been a fan of this band since before they signed with Rise. They had a almost I wouldn't even know what type of genre to consider it. I think it was more along the lines of like post-hardcore, even some other sort of influences, but their sound has evolved and changed over a long time. White Noise is still up there with one of my favorite records of all time. I still think that it holds a lot of value and still is, again, one that I can go back and know I can jam all the time. So when they were in the process of announcing this new record, All We Know of Heaven, All We Need of Hell, I was kind of surprised. I listened to a lot of the singles, more specifically Heaven, and I was just, I don't know, I was just kind of on the fence about it. I felt like, I understand the whole process behind bands having, evolving their sound and making things, sound more relevant to what they are listening to now. And I thought to myself, I give this album a chance, even if I think that White Noise is better. I wanted to come in with this album with an open mind and just kind of give it, the love and admiration that it deserves. Even if I don't think it is their best work, I wanted to kind of, think about it, listen to it a lot, and try to, collect my thoughts on it. So I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts and opinions. I'm going to give some pros and cons on the record, and then I'm going to give it an overall rating. So as I mentioned previously, the first track off the record is called Heaven. It was the first single that they released, and is also one of my favorites. However, I didn't think this at first. To me, this track definitely grew on me. I wasn't too big of a fan of it early on, and I thought that, to me, it was just a little bit too much of a deviation from what they originally had, but I think slowly but surely, it has definitely grew on me, and I can definitely say that it's one of my favorites off the record. So I'm really liking Lynn's vocals with the piano in the intro. It's definitely a bit slower, and that's probably why it kind of took me a little bit of a while to warm up to it. I feel like that definitely has a lot to do with it as well. But I definitely feel like it picks up after the chorus and just onward throughout the track. It definitely has this great sort of, wouldn't even consider it indie. I mean, maybe might be indie rock and a little bit of alternative rock as well. But it definitely has an interesting sound to me, and it was something that I wasn't expecting off the top of my head. It also has really great sort of ambient and spacious vibes, kind of similar to their previous work, but I feel like they amplified it a lot more in this record in particular. The layers really add this other dimension to the track, which is great. I definitely feel like it is a strong point in a lot of tracks off this record. I also feel like it's a great opener track, and it definitely gives the listener an idea of what and how the album will sound like going further. So we'll move it into track number 2, which is Half. This is another favorite of mine and is also a single. I don't know how far along this one was, if it was prior to What's Wrong. I know Winter is probably the most recent one that they released in terms of songs, but this one is definitely one that I liked. It was one that I had not listened to. I think the only singles that I really kind of delved into were Heaven and What's Wrong. Winter and Half were probably like under the radar for me, even though I think half came out around the same time as What's Wrong, or maybe, later on. But I definitely like the addition of synth throughout this track. The track definitely has a bit more energy than the previous track, Heaven. I also feel like vocally, Lynn's voice just, flows throughout this track, in my opinion. Is definitely a strong point on this track as well. I'd also say that the focal point in this track is definitely the chorus, without a doubt. And I would say that this track has hints of the previous work, White Noise. There is a track that kind of, there's two tracks in particular that definitely remind me a lot of their older stuff. So I would say, for the most part, they haven't really forgotten their roots. They just kind of mixed it up and made it, and just kind of like fleshed it out through a bunch of different tracks off this record. Also, I enjoyed the part between 3 minutes and 20 seconds to 3 minutes and 32-second mark. I just love the emotion that is drawn from this part, as well as just Lynn's raspy tone. I feel like that's really a strong point on a lot of their records, but more specifically in this track as well. And I definitely feel like it has this really cool ethereal bridge as well, just with a sort of different vocal layering. I feel like the production level on this album is just a little bit of a step above White Noise, and I feel like I might get a little bit of hate for that, but to me, I feel like it's on par with their previous record in terms of production, and just, the additional layers that they added throughout this record really kind of solidify and make it really awesome. So we're gonna move into track number 3, which is Anyone's Guess. This one has a stronger electronic influence as well. I'm liking the back and forth between the vocals and the guitars at the 1 minute and 12-second mark to the 1 minute and 30-second mark, give or take. This track definitely has bits of structure, but also a lot of free space to kind of add that, again, ethereal sort of feeling to the track as well. And I also feel like the most spacious part of this track would definitely be the bridge. It has this, again, this sort of expansiveness to it as well. And I also love the inclusion of harp in the beginning of this track as well. You will hear it a lot throughout a few different parts, and throughout a few different tracks as well. So we're going to move into track number 4, which is What's Wrong. This is a single that they released not long after Heaven, I believe, and is also one of my favorites as well. I'm loving Lynn's vocals and melodies throughout this track. Just the runs she does just flow very well with this track. This one also is a continuation of stronger electronic vibes. This one definitely has it as well. I would say that my favorite part on this track would be the chorus. I feel like it culminates the whole sort of track to a great point, as well as the bridge really has some awesome vocals from Lynn. Again, she utilizes a lot of that rasp in the bridge as well, and I definitely say that structurally this one is one of the best tracks off the record. It just has that sort of quality that you'd like about the previous tracks, but it also just has a reminder of, previous albums such as the White Noise. I feel like, to me, it's kind of the best of both worlds in terms of the newer sound that they have, and also the older sound that they, have had fans grow to love. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is Walk Alone. Definitely this sort of walk alone melody will definitely get stuck in your head, in my opinion. I know for me, after multiple listens, I was winding up to sing all of those sort of parts. The addition of organ and harp, again, were really great additions to this track, and just add a nice bit of texture throughout. I feel like it's utilized very well in this one as well. To me, the song definitely picks up after the first chorus, in my opinion. And I also like the soft, tender vocals paired with the sort of gritty vocals that Lynn has. I think it's really impressive to me how well she switches between the two, in my opinion. And she's definitely one of those voices that is just kind of, to me, you won't sound like anybody else, and that's really awesome to her. Just if even if I didn't know it was a Paris track, I would have known just by her voice. So to me, that is just a strong point in a lot of these tracks. Also, I feel like the track doesn't overstay its welcome as well, considering that it's over 5 minutes long. I feel like a lot of the longer tracks, just in general, have a lot of things going on, and even if they aren't, it doesn't really carry well throughout the track. This one just had really great just flow and movement throughout the track that made it not seem like it was just being a burden or just overstaying its welcome. It really went well. But the only flaw that I'd say about this track is that there were some really great parts where it kind of built up to something, but it never really kind of went all the way through. There wasn't that sort of drop or something interesting that made the track a little bit different. I feel like maybe if there was just a little bit of push, maybe in the bridge or something along those lines, that it would fit a lot better. And I feel like it would definitely be among my favorites off the record. But to me, it felt like there was just build up, build up, build up, and there was no kind of release, which was a little bit disappointing in my book. So we're going to move into track number 6, which is Same Soul. This one is also a favorite of mine. The guitar riff definitely reminds me of Mirrors from the White Noise. Or from White Noise. Sorry, I keep saying the White Noise like the band. But this one, riff wise, definitely is very close, and no pun intended. It definitely mirrors another track that they did off White Noise as well. Loving the vocal layering throughout this track as well. There is really great balance of softer sort of verses paired with the grittier choruses, much like in a lot of these other tracks. But to me, I feel like this is utilized the best throughout. The melodies are super catchy in this one, and structurally, off the record, this one is another favorite of mine as well. I definitely feel like you get the full spectrum of Lynn's vocals in this track. I would say that this is one of her stronger tracks off the record, without a doubt, along with another one, which we'll be talking about not too long after. But to me, this one is definitely a strong one off the list. So we're going to move into track number 7, which is Winter. I believe this was, like I mentioned previously, is the most recent single. It also, to me, feels the most straightforward. There isn't anything that kind of comes out and kind of is interesting or ear catching to me. I felt like this one was a bit of a lackluster track, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of people might have a difference of opinion, but to me, this one, in full grasp of the whole record, I feel like this one's a little bit of a weak point. It doesn't have anything that really jumps out to me. There isn't something that's interesting, like Walk Alone had something really interesting going for itself. Same with Same Soul, as well as like tracks like Heaven. I feel like even if it was a slower track, it just doesn't have something that just pops. But I would absolutely say that the chorus makes this track, in my opinion. And I just feel like that's the only kind of strong point in this track. I wouldn't say I hate it, but I would say that it's definitely amongst the weaker tracks, in my opinion. So we're going to move into track number 8, which is No Mercy. This one is another one of my favorites off the record, and I'd also say this is probably the best track off the record. It feels, the energy in this track is just next level, in my opinion. And it just feels like a White Noise-esque track. If you're missing a track like that just based off the singles, I feel like they really got you covered on this one, in my opinion. Vocally, it's just another banger from Liz. I feel like, to me, the track Same Soul, I feel like, to me, she really killed it on this one, but this one may even be a tier above that one, in my opinion. Structurally, it's really great, and then the chorus definitely comes out swinging, in my opinion, and instrumentally, it's definitely a favorite of mine as well. So we're going to move into track number 9, which is Separate. This one is one of those more ethereal feeling tracks, in my opinion. Also, the instrumentals and the vocals definitely have that sort of reverby, distant feel to them. Very expansive, very kind of. I feel like a lot of the space that's taken up in this track is from the instruments and just from the vocals. And they just have this really great space to it. However, I feel like the track, again, much like Winter, doesn't have a lot going for it in terms of just what's going on. I feel like it's a great track nonetheless, but it's a little bit of a, I don't know. It's just lacking something, in my opinion. Also, this track definitely has some of those darker undertones to them as well, and it doesn't really feel like anything fresh. Like it just kind of rides on a lot of other tracks. Like to me, I would say that Winter and Separate are amongst the worst tracks off the record in my opinion. They just they just feel like a little bit bland, if that makes sense. And hopefully, maybe a lot of people will check this out. I will assume a lot of people will check this out. But to me, it just has this blandness to it. Maybe you might agree, maybe you might disagree. But definitely let me know in the comments. But we'll move into track number 10, the last one, which is Nola 1. This one is one of my favorites as well. Only for the reason that it sounds very different and very fresh and new. Much like Separate, this one just has a unique feel to it. Just the instrumentals is something to point out, in my opinion, that just makes this track. I feel like they experimented with this one, but they definitely kept it straight with the sort of Paris sound. And to me, a lot of those sort of tracks that I love, that I consider my favorites, have that sort of different feel to them that make them sound different from each other, and I would say that this one is no different. It really has this memorability to it, in my opinion, and I feel like it's a great way to end off this record so far. So I'm gonna get into the pros and cons. Pros, I like what they did with this one. I will not say it's on the same tier as White Noise. However, I think of it as just it's their second record. I feel like to me, when they released the deluxe record, that was kind of like the middle point between the two, if you could say maybe a White Noise 1.5, and it kind of gave you an idea of how this record in general was going to pan out to sound like. And I feel like they kept very true to keeping new stuff in, keeping it fresh, reinventing themselves, but also keeping it to their older stuff and keeping it to older fans with tracks like Same Soul and No Mercy. I feel like those tracks definitely will give you those sort of White Noise esque vibes, but also keeping it straight with tracks like Heaven, Half, What's Wrong. I would even put What's Wrong in the same sort of tier as Same Soul and No Mercy. I feel like those three tracks have that sort of White Noise vibe, but Heaven, Half, and even Walk Alone have those sort of interesting, unique sorts of sounds. And I feel like Nola just really kind of caps it off with the uniqueness. I like this direction that they're going in. I would say that the only con is some tracks feel a little bit bland, like I've been mentioning earlier, Winter and Separate. I feel like those two are the weakest tracks off the record. Definitely let me know if you don't think that they are. I'd like to kind of pick your brain and have an idea of why you think they might not be, why you might not think that you would agree with me or agree with me. That would be just an interesting conversation to have as well. But overall, I like what they did. I like that they kept it fresh. I like that they kept it unique to them, and they weren't trying to, remake White Noise 2. We always have that record to go back to. So for me, as an artist, for me, listening to a lot of artists, I feel like to me, you have to reinvent yourself. If you're not making something that you like or that you can't play or, that you don't want to play, you shouldn't do that. I feel like for you as just an artist, you should do what you want to do, and I definitely feel like they did what they wanted to do, but also giving people who've been fans a while tracks that they can also listen to off this new record. And who knows, maybe these tracks will grow on you. I would absolutely say that these tracks have definitely grown on me. I was not expecting White Noise 2.0 obviously, but I feel like they kind of did us a service with a few tracks that sound like that, but also letting people know we're going through with a new sound. If you like us, stick with us. So good job, Paris. I feel like it's a really solid record, and I'm excited to see what your future has. So my overall rating for Paris is All We Know of Heaven, All We Need of Hell. I'm going to be giving it a 9.1 out of 10. I feel like it's one that you should check out. Pick it up if you can. If you can. First week sales mean a lot to bands. I definitely feel like this one's going to be awesome. They're also doing a headliner tour with Lights and I think another band, but I can't remember it off the top of my head. If I can think of it, I'll maybe put some text over here. But definitely check them out on tour if they do come to your town. They are really great live. I was able to catch them at Warped like a few years ago, but I'm really excited to check back with them hopefully in a couple weeks. So definitely let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on it. Obviously it's not out yet, it's still got a couple days, but let me know what your thoughts are on the single, and maybe come back to it when the album comes out. I'd love to know your thoughts on the record, and I'd love to have a great conversation about this record as my voice cracks. But thank you guys for watching. My name is Brandon. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to hit that thumbs up. We are reinventing the web store, so if you see it go down, we're going to be revamping it and doing some really great stuff. We hope to have some new merch out to you guys real soon. So thank you guys for watching. Like I said, my name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.